Good morning to the Honorable Ministers of the Council, members of the media, online viewers, radio listeners via St. Martin Gov Radio 107.9 and other radio stations. I'm Rolika Roach and welcome to the live Council of Ministers press briefing for today, Wednesday, July 11th, 2018. At this time, I invite the Minister of Education, Culture, Youth and Sport, the Honorable Wycliffe Smith, to address you. Minister Smith.
Greetings, St. Martin. Schools are closed. They were closed on Friday, July 6th, but I don't think I have to tell you that. You've noticed it immediately on the way to work because the traffic is not as heavy as when there is school. Enjoy the light traffic until school starts again on Monday, August the 13th. And a word to the parents. Parents, do not only enroll your children in a summer camp or club or some other activity, but also take some time yourself and spend quality time with your children. Well-known author Abigail van Buren said, "If you want your children to turn out well, spend twice as much time with them and half as much money on them." Twice as much time on them and half as much money on them. Take vacation or a few days off from work and be with your child or with your children. If you cannot take them on a cruise or to Disneyland or to visit a family member in Europe, that's okay. You can take them to the beach or climb a hill or do some activities with them in the Emilia Wilson Park. And these activities do not have to cost you anything at all. But most importantly, be with them, talk to them, interact with them, have fun with them, watch a movie with them, enjoy your children, explore St. Martin with them. Make good use of this vacation and make it a memorable one for your child or for your children. Remember, children don't need things. They need parents who spend time with them. And today I would like to brief you on what is taking place in two of the departments of the Ministry of Education, Culture, Youth and Sports. Namely, what's going on in the Department of Youth Affairs and in the Department of Sport. On Monday, July 9th, 2 days ago, the Department of Youth Affairs launched the Business Outreach and Placement Program, known more by its acronym BOPP, or the BOB program. This program is held during the summer vacation, and it gives students the opportunity to work during 4 weeks of their summer vacation and to get paid minimum wages. What this program does is to give our teenagers the opportunity to gain practical work experience. They're placed in government departments, in non-government organizations, and also in the private sector. The program started in 1998, 20 years ago, under the leadership of former head of the Department of Social Cultural Development, the late Mr. Neville York. I must say that this program is very popular among our youth. Each year, approximately 200 plus students apply, and about 100 students are placed after going through a rigorous application process. Normally, some 60 students are placed in government departments and approximately 40 students in the private sector, such as in hotels, restaurants, retail stores, and non-government organizations. This year, though, due to Hurricane Irma, the availability of placements both in government as well as in the private sector is much limited. Several businesses as well as government departments were damaged, and therefore they were unable to accommodate extra workers at this time. Out of the 145 applicants this year, 81 students have been placed, 64 students in government departments and I had the privilege to meet with them when I walked through the ministry yesterday, those who were placed in the Ministry of Education, Culture, Youth and Sports. And 15 have been placed in 3 companies, namely Simpson Bay Resorts, the Koiman and the KFC. And 2 have been placed at the 2 high councils of state, namely the Council of Advice and the Ombudsman. The BOP is an excellent program, offering students some financial help, but it also offers them job experience, job skills such as responsibility, being on time, starting and finishing a project, and very importantly, it teaches them human relation skills in the job market. I've had first-hand experience with the BOP because both of my sons were placed in this program several years ago, and I saw how it helped them to mature. The closing off ceremony will be held on the 3rd of August, and it will highlight the success of this 20-year work program. I want to thank the staff of the Department of Youth Affairs and for planning, for organizing, and ensuring that this work program was carried out this year again. Now that was some information on the youth program taking place in the youth department. The next bit of information comes from the Department of Sport. And note, I said sport without the S because I was told the official name is the Department of Sport. So the Department of Sport is holding its 4th annual Sports Open House on Friday, August 24th and Saturday, August 25th at the Raoul Illich Sports Complex in Cahill. So what is the purpose of this Sports Open House? The purpose is to inform and educate all of us, our community, of the importance of sports. It also promotes healthy eating and healthy living. All of this takes place under the theme, Sports Matter. This year, there's also an added feature to the Sports Open House, and that is the creative industries. So the arts, such as dance, theater, film, and gymnastics and others, will also be prominently featured at the 2018 Sports Open House as well. There was a registration period from June 1st through July the 2nd for businesses, schools, and organizations and individuals for them to register to take part in the Sports and Creative Industries Open House. Now, for those who have registered and those who want to get more information, there will be a meeting on Thursday. That's July 12th, tomorrow, at 7 p.m. at the John Larmony Center. If you didn't get to register yet, you can still register during this meeting and get all the necessary information that you need in order to be part of the Sports and Creative Industries Open House. Now, there are a lot of organizations involved in the planning of the Sports and Creative Open House, which is going to take place on August the 24th and 25th, and they are the Department of Sport, headed by Jonelle Richardson, and the Department of Culture, headed by Clara Reyes. And they're doing this in collaboration with the National Sports Institute, the Division of Educational Innovations, the St. Martin's Sports Olympic Federation, the National Sports Organizations, and the Creative Industries. So if you want to participate in the Sports and Creative Open House, or if you just want to get more information, please make sure and attend the meeting tomorrow evening, Thursday, July 12th, at 7 p.m. at the John Larmony Center. And I'm sure that the organizers will be more than happy to welcome you to this meeting. This is the information that I want to share with you at this time, and so I thank you very much for your attention.
At this time, I invite the Minister of Finance, the Honorable Perry Herlings, to address you. Minister Herlings.
In short, as I mentioned in the last press briefing, that I was leaving on a working visit to Curacao, and I would like to shortly address the content of my visit. One of the major purposes was to visit the central bank in connection with the revamping of the bank. They launched the new strategic plan for the bank that they would like to accomplish within the time frame of 2018 to 2020, 2021. The presentation was very enthusiastic and very interesting because the director at interim, Mrs. Leila Matroos, informed personnel and the public in general about the plans. Basically, it boils down to revamping of the image of the bank, making sure that we are up to par where it concerns the IT of the bank, the workings of the bank, bring it back to the 21st century. One of the other discussions, and during my visit I met with the board of the supervisory board and the board of directors. With the board of directors I discussed the ongoing matters of the appointment of a St. Martin candidate to the board of directors. Some other issues where it concerns also the currency issue that we had, which personally I don't think it's a major issue, but you know, my predecessor, Minister Fayet, made mention of it. But we also briefly discussed that. Then I met with the board, the supervisory board, just to meet with them and see what it is that they actually do. As you know, we have 3 members on that board. I wanted to know also from the St. Martin representatives where they stand in certain issues, also with regards to the appointment of a new director, but also in the issues of the branch that we are supposed to revamp also in St. Martin. While there I made it very clear to the bank that the branch in St. Martin is one of my priorities, and that we will not settle for less than almost equal facilitating the people of St. Martin as it's done in Curacao, and that the management of the bank, the director of the bank, should be also from St. Martin, or at least the choice of St. Martin. So that point was made clear. The interim board of directors mentioned to me that they will continue and finalize the process, and yes, that they will be able to meet most of our wishes where it concerns our branch in St. Martin. I also had the honor to meet the Prime Minister, Eugene Ruggenaat, as Prime Minister, but also in his capacity as the backup Minister of Finance at that point in time, where we addressed some issues at the central bank as well, because the process of appointing our director on the board has to do with a lot of other procedures that need to take place, and there's where we have some delays. So we needed to discuss those and see how we can settle that as soon as possible. At the same time, I discussed also with the Prime Minister, I was looking for support. As you know, last week Friday we had the Kingdom Council of Ministers in The Hague, in which was discussed the request from the government of St. Martin for liquidity support. So I discussed some issues with them concerning the whole process and requested his support. It was reported back that Curacao rendered that support in the meeting. Then I also met with the CFT. The main office is based in Curacao. I met with the secretariat, as they call it, just to further try to find common grounds how to work together with St. Martin. As you know, when we work on the budget or we have budget changes to be made, there's a whole protocol that we have to follow, very time consuming. And the demands from the Kingdom Council of Ministers through the CFT for us to make sure that we report timely, and in this case, monthly reports. It's very time-consuming for our organization with the limited means that we have. So I try to make a more workable agreement with the CFT. We managed to do that. I'm still awaiting the formal approval of that on paper. And it really concerns the fact that my department needs to report on a monthly basis to the CFT, while we also have the agreement that we do quarterly reports. So you can imagine the quarterly reports is really an elaborate information sheet, while in the meantime you also have to do a monthly reporting that they would like to see as detailed as possible. We cannot handle that. We don't have the facilities, we don't have the people to do that simultaneously. So, but it was a very, in that sense, a very fruitful meeting with the CFT. Then we have, just to bring you up to par, we discussed the last time, the request came from Stephen, I believe, on the license plate. I was informed this morning that so far 81% of the registered cars in St. Martin have paid up their license plate. I don't know how that translates in numbers as yet, but rest assured I will have that information for you the next time. And that is it for now, and I'm open to your questions in the second round. Thank you.
At this time, I invite the Minister of Public Health, Social Development and Labor, the Honorable Emma Lee, to address you. Minister Lee.
I'm going to just touch on a few subjects just to update the community on a number of small projects. Number one, the hospital. As you know, since Irma, we've been working on a redesign for the hospital. That process is ongoing. Expectations are that the revised drawings, so that's the changing of the structure and the design to bring it up to post-Irma realities in terms of hurricane resistance. Those drawings are currently being worked on, and anticipation is that they will be ready to submit to VROMI in the first week of August. So then VROMI has their time to review the drawings, and then once the building permit's approved, we move on to the next phase in terms of executing the actual construction of the hospital. Another subject I'd like to touch on, the technical and vocational courses. These were offered with NEPA in conjunction with MIC IT. There was a 2-day registration drive. So far, the ministry has reported we've had 23 individuals that have expressed interest in taking the course. These are masonry level 1, plumbing level 1, carpentry level 1, electrical installation level 1, welding level 1, and property, general property maintenance level 1. The registration process is continuing. Actually, people who are interested in attending these courses can come to the Department of Labor Affairs and Social Services Monday through Friday between 8:30 and 3:30 in the afternoon. So again, anyone who's interested in participating in the reconstruction economy in St. Martin, so you have the desire, but you don't necessarily have the skills to participate, we are offering training courses in order for you to gather those skills so you can participate. Again, congratulations to the White and Yellow Cross. You know, they just successfully graduated a number of individuals from their program. So the process of training people to participate continues. Another project to update the public, the food voucher program. As you know, we had phase one. Phase one was where individuals were required to come to the building, fill out applications, evaluated, and they picked up their vouchers here at the government building. Phase two, so phase one completed. Now we started phase two. In phase two, this is much more of a community outreach program. So there's actually 2 ways for the food voucher program for individuals who are in need. This is our basic necessities voucher. There's 2 ways for people who are interested in still getting assistance with buying food, basic needs, either via your community councils. So there's 3 community councils that the ministry in particular is working through. That's the one in St. Peter's, Dutch Quarter, and Cole Bay. That's across from ACE. So if you're in need, you can go to the community councils and speak to the individuals there, and they can give you guidance in terms of how to fill out an application. The other thing is the ministry is going out into the community. So we're listening to the people in the community. We're getting referrals from people in the community. If they, in particular, our focus is on those who are maybe less mobile, so perhaps they're elderly, don't have transportation, or perhaps have some sort of disabilities. So if you know neighbors who you think may be in need, contact the ministry, refer them, and then we're going out into the communities and going basically door to door. For this month, actually, we have scheduled 89 visits based on information and feedback we've received from the community, in terms of, in particular, those who are not very mobile. The other point in the program, as you all know, there was a fire at the Carrefour supermarket. Carrefour was one of the participants in terms of receiving the food vouchers. So now, because they're not operational, we've added another supermarket to the program, and that's the Fairway supermarket. That's the one that's the old Sangs supermarket, the one on the way to Point Blanche. So the 3 supermarkets who are currently participating are the Fairway, Prime, and Sunny Foods. Phase 2 so far, we've helped about 1,500 people. They are receiving assistance in our basic needs voucher program. Some changes in the program, very positive changes. We are going digital, so we're using tablets to accumulate our information. The good thing is this will give us a better tool in terms of measuring the effectiveness of the program. But this is an integrated program. Besides just the basic food vouchers that we're handing out, we're also assessing the community. We're also trying to figure out if people need financial aid, if they need medical aid. So we're giving guidance to people who would qualify, how to fill out the applications, how they can access services through the ministry, as well as providing psychosocial support. You know, it's my belief, and I've seen it already, you know, as soon as Hurricane Beryl was floating around in the Atlantic, you could feel a very palpable change in terms of people's tensions levels, the stress in the community, and I'm afraid that for the hurricane season that's going to continue. And I think more than ever the need to give support to those in the community who find that they're anxious and having difficulty dealing with another hurricane season. The ministry is there to provide services for the community. So again, if you feel that you need help, reach out to the community councils or reach out to the ministry here at the government building. The last project I'd like to update you on is our reintegration shelter. This is a shelter that's located in Sucker Garden. It's a 2-year project which started in February of 2018. It was in the media already. We contracted the Dr. J Foundation to provide the management and social services. So there's a number of social workers that are stationed at the integration shelter to provide service to the residents, but also for those in the community that feel that they need psychosocial help. They're there as a resource for the community. So the shelter offers a temporary solution to displaced residents and for those in our community who are a little bit vulnerable and who need assistance. Its primary goal, or one of its goals, is to provide not only decent, safe, and clean living quarters. We also provide meals there, so breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So, you know, everyone who needs help can live somewhere that's clean and safe. But besides that, it's much more than that. We provide professional guidance with social workers to assist persons to regain their independence. And what do we mean by that? We mean that we help them to develop their employment skills. We help them to find gainful employment, and we also help them to find a permanent living solution. So we're very proud of the work that the shelter's doing. Already in June, 13 individuals have successfully transitioned out of the shelter back into the community. And in July, we're projected to have 8 individuals, again, reintegrate into the community and moving out from the shelter. So through a combination of things, the shelter was going through renovation. The shelter's been totally renovated, so all new furniture, TVs, everything. And so through a combination of completion of the renovations of the units, as well as the successful reintegration of customers back into the community, we now have additional space in the shelter. So if people are looking for safe accommodations and some help to get back integrated into the community, we encourage you to apply for one of the spaces available in the shelter. There's a number of ways of doing that. You can either visit the shelter directly, again, that's in Sucker Garden, or the Social Services Department in the government building, or again, via the same community councils that are providing assistance with the basic needs voucher. That's the St. Peter's, Dutch Quarter, and Cole Bay. So there's a number of different avenues for you to find help. The ministry is here for the people, and I thank you for your time.
At this time, I invite the Minister of Justice, the Honorable Cornelius De Wever, to address you. Minister De Wever.
The Ministry of Justice will be celebrating its annual International Justice Day by hosting a week of activities from Thursday, July 12th to Sunday, July 15th, to commemorate all the men and women who daily put their lives at risk to help keep our community safe and secure. The theme is St. Martin Stands Strong, Justice for All. As a small island, we have displayed remarkable strength despite the seemingly insurmountable challenges we faced. And in so doing, we've proven that justice does in fact work in favor of all of us. It's my hope that you will be able to join us and celebrate this together. So I'm hereby inviting everyone to come out and enjoy all the activities at the Festival Village on Thursday, July 12th, when we will be having some fireworks and a movie. Friday, July 13th, we will be having karaoke from 7 to 9, and then Control Band will be playing and take us into midnight, hopefully. And then on Saturday, July 14th, we will have the Family Fun Day from 1 to 8 p.m. And then on Sunday, we have the official ceremony with the march going through town at 8 a.m., followed by the church service and the award ceremony. So I look forward to invite everyone, because we believe in building a closer relationship with the Justice Ministry, the community stakeholders, as well as the residents of our island. I know that normally they do an entire week, but because of our financial constraints, we've reduced it to the last, from the 12th to the 15th. So I ask you to come out. And on a other note, I just received word that one of the police officers, Quentin Rogers, has passed away. I'd like to extend my sympathy to his family, his friends, and to the force and ministry in general, and Godspeed. Thank you very much.
The Minister of Public Housing, Spatial Planning, Environment and Infrastructure, the Honorable Miklos Gietersen, will not be making an opening statement, but is available for any questions the media may have. At this time, I invite the Prime Minister and Minister of General Affairs, the Honorable Leona Romeo Marlin, to address you. Prime Minister.
Following the passing of the remnants of Beryl, I want to re-emphasize that as a community, we need to take every precautionary measure to minimize the impact of damage and destruction that any storm or hurricane can cause. A very important part of this process is for the key external stakeholders in our community, for example, businesses, NGOs, and community councils, to have their plans in place and ready to be implemented whenever the time arises. In particular, I would like to highlight the presence of loose-lying containers that may pose a threat to persons or buildings nearby. These containers may be stacked loosely or not anchored properly. I'm requesting the owners of these containers to take the necessary steps to either remove the containers or place them in a safe location as to avoid any unnecessary damage to others in our community. With everyone taking their responsibility seriously, the damage across the country can be mitigated and limited, leading to a speedier recovery and reopening of the country and a return to normalcy. The public is reminded to review and restock their disaster supply, kits with food, medication, drinking water, and other essentials. Secure and safeguard your homes and place of business. Trim overhanging trees near buildings. Check leaking roofs. Install storm shutters. Review the structure of your roof and strengthen it. Repair windows and doors if necessary. If you live along the beach coast or in the flood-prone areas, make plans to move before the storm hits, to stay with your family, friends, or make alternative house arrangements. Make plans for elderly family members who live alone, as well as those family members who are physically challenged. Remember, preparing early is key. As a community, let us come together and collectively prepare St. Martin for the peak of this hurricane season. I call on civic organizations, community councils, and other non-governmental organizations to continue to contribute in preparing our communities to be storm ready. A collective effort will make a huge difference. Remember, it only takes one, so be prepared. Before I conclude this morning, on behalf of the government of St. Martin, I would like to officially, the news just came in of the passing of Mr. Rogers. We'd like to convey our condolences as well. And we would like to also officially thank Mr. Hans Leitens for his contributions to St. Martin during the recovery and rebuilding process. I also wish Mr. Leitens farewell and much success in his endeavors. I look forward for the questions from the media. I thank you.
Thank you, Prime Minister, for your opening remarks. If you have just joined us, you are watching the live Council of Ministers press briefing. We now go over to the question and answer session. The floor is open. Stephen Cerillion of PJ82 Radio, you have the floor.
Excellencies, good morning. My question is a general one. I need to know what is government's plans for the following. 1, the old administration building. 2, the post office. 3, the old fire department. 4, the marketplace. And 5th, the parking lot.
I heard the old administration building, the post office, the fire department are missing one, and then the parking lot. The marketplace. Well, I know that the old fire department will be demolished. That has been already a decision by the Council of Ministers. We are looking also into the old administration building being demolished. The marketplace and the parking lot and the post office, within short, there is going to be a plan of such, and then we will make sure that the general public have that information. But there are plans to do something with those 3 areas. The parking lot, I believe, which parking lot? The one here at the government administration building? The last report that I got from my ministry, at least, is that there was a lot of questions as to when they're going to open it back up. I know that they were busy working on some electrical issues relating to such, but I will get an update on that. But there are going to be plans with those 3 areas as it relates to the post office, the marketplace, and the parking lot, and we will diverge such within short.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Lyndon Brown of BCN TV, you have the floor.
Good morning to the people of St. Martin and all our wonderful ministers today. I want to let the minister know that they are doing a great job. And never think one day that you're not doing a wonderful job. Question to Minister Lee. You make emphasis and the construction of our hospital. Over months and years, there was conversation about medical tourism. Is there anything in the refurbishing and also medical tourism at our hospital?
Thank you for your question. Yes, there are provisions in the hospital for medical tourism. Again, to recap what's happened with the hospital. Post-Irma, the design specifications for the hospital needed to be upgraded in order to be more hurricane resistant based on our current reality. In order to fund that, one of the decisions that was initially made was to remove the wing and take the funds that would have been allocated for the construction of the wing to allocate towards the reinforcement of the main building. Already post-Irma, one of the first things we've done is lobbied the Dutch government very hard for financial assistance to reinstate that wing. Those discussions have been ongoing and have since extended to the World Bank, and all preliminary discussions are very positive, and we believe that we will secure the financial assistance to reinstate the wing. In the wing, there is space that's available to be used for medical tourism. So the idea is, yes, that there should be a provision for medical tourism. That said, there's different concepts of medical tourism. One is that you outsource it to some third-party individual who basically rents the space and does whatever is financially most interesting for them. So, for example, let's say cosmetic surgery. So it might be something that may be financially beneficial for them. Instead of performing those operations in the United States, they would perform them here, where perhaps insurance is cheaper, taxation's different, so there would be a financial benefit for them to do that. The other would be to look at services that actually the population here would like to be able to access, but we don't have a large enough population to make a business plan to justify those services. My idea for medical tourism would be that we focus on those services and bring in people from the surrounding islands to use those services, thereby making the business plan financially viable. But the short answer to your question is there are long discussions and provisions about how to accommodate medical tourism.
Thank you, Minister Lee. Andrew Dick of the Daily Herald, you have the floor.
Good morning to all the ministers. Minister De Weaver, with Justice Week coming up, the pro bono lawyers, the strike is still ongoing. I did ask for an update 2 weeks ago, no answer. Is there an update on the strike? Is government doing anything? Is it a priority?
Thank you very much, Mr. Dick, for your question. Of course, it is a priority. The representative of the lawyers, Mr. Cord Merckx, has been in constant contact with my office and my cabinet. An agreement was sent to them so that they can sign. We are busy working on that. Again, previous decisions are haunting us. Things were done in the past without a Council of Ministers decision, without changing the law, without an agreement. And we want to make sure that moving forward it is done in the right way. So the constant dialogue is between my legal advisor and Mr. Cord Merckx. I'm CC'd in all the emails, and they should be meeting this afternoon at 3, and hopefully we can sign the agreement and move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister De Weaver. Stephen Cerillion, you have the floor.
My question is for the Prime Minister. It has been drawn to my attention that plans are now in the works to move the employees of the post office to the census office. Can you elaborate a bit more on that?
Yes, indeed. And again, thank you for that question. We are busy trying to resolve, and as you know, for a couple of years now, the post office, there were issues and challenges at the post office. So based on assessments that we are conducting with the Accounting Bureau, we have decided to move the postal services over to the census office or the civil registry, the old civil registry department, as a temporary solution because they have to vacate the premises where they're located at this current moment. So it's just a temporary solution until a more permanent location can be found for the postal services. So it's basically trying to find a solution before they become homeless. So it's the government's responsibility. The space was available, so why not put them there and try to resolve the problem before it escalates any further.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Lyndon Brown.
Minister Dr. De Weaver, a question and a concern of the public that I'm surfacing a lot of time. What is the criteria for police officers to become acting prosecutor? For this reason, there are some police officers I understand who are acting prosecutor. Is that have come to your ears? Make it plain. Explain it to the people of St. Martin, because some people are confused.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. I am aware that certain officers do carry out that task, but the criteria for it, I am not sure. I will have to get back to you with that information. Thanks.
Thank you, Minister De Weaver. Andrew Dick.
Yes, I'm between two ministers. Let's start with Minister Smith. Concerning the pavilions, some educators have some concerns with the hurricane season being here. When will it be taken down? When will they be taken down? No, only the MAC is using their own, but the others are just standing there. So is there a plan for the pavilions to ship them back to the Netherlands?
Thank you very much for that question, Mr. Dick. Yes, there is a plan to take down the pavilions as soon as possible. In fact, yesterday there was a discussion between the Secretary General and her staff and a company on St. Martin to start to dismantle them. So that they should be down fairly soon, before the peak of the season for sure.
Thank you, Minister Smith. We now move on to the final round of questions. Stephen Cerulli, you have the floor.
Mr. Lee, my question is for you. How close are you now to realizing the physical structure of the medical center being planted? And you said that you're expecting the actual plan for that sometime in August. The groundbreaking for the actual hospital, when can that be expected?
So all of the financing for the construction of the hospital was secured already earlier in the year. There were a number of conditions to that. One of the conditions, which obviously makes sense, is that the project needs to have a building permit. So the design for the hospital is being changed in order to become hurricane resistant, or Category 5 hurricane resistant. Those redesign and re-engineering works are ongoing. We expect to have them in the first week of August, at which time we'll send them to my fine colleague here for evaluation. Depending on the time that VROMI needs to process that building permit request, then we can start to schedule the groundbreaking. That said, we've been working together with the Ministry of VROMI throughout the redesign process, trying to keep them involved in all of the redesign process. So hopefully the evaluation process will be as short as possible. Scheduled for groundbreaking would be, in our books right now, we have it scheduled for December. Right, Minister?
Thank you, Minister Lee. Lyndon Brown.
Okay, question to Minister Gittison. Well, it's still pending. It become a slogan now. Mike Ferry mentioned about the baby dump. He seemed like the baby dump getting children now, Minister. How close are we? Because every day there are still smoke. Of course, let the people of St. Martin know that it's something that you come and meet and is not the fault of this government. But so far, something is happening. Tell us what is happening so far, Minister.
Thanks for the question, Mr. Brown, and thanks for the compliments also. Right now, we are scheduled tomorrow to go with the delegations and steering committee of St. Martin, the Netherlands, and the World Bank to visit the dump sites because EENG, which is the consultants for the World Bank, they're busy finalizing their report, their assessment that they did with the bank, with the dump, sorry. And tomorrow we are scheduled to go with them on the dump so we can finalize this assessment, because without this assessment, World Bank cannot approve the funds for us to start dealing with the dump. So that's exactly what's going on right now. It's behind the scenes. I know people may not see much work going on site, but behind the scenes, we are working diligently to get this problem solved. So that's what's going on at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Peterson. Andrew Dick, you have the final question.
Yes, Prime Minister, concerning the fire department, we know that on Monday they came here and asked for a meeting. You did meet with them and did ask for some information. Are you prepared to give some information now concerning that?
Go ahead. Ask the
As far
question.
as the change of management, what's your ministry's position on that, and why the change?
The change of management, I'm not sure there was a change in management.
Resignation.
I'm not sure there was a resignation either, but I know that the firemen came to my person on Monday with some concerns that they had. And of course, you cannot speak of individual cases because that's privacy of the individual. Nevertheless, their concerns were about their function book. Their concerns were about their educational courses. Of course, they were very much appreciative of specific individuals that have assisted them in obtaining significant progress within their duties or career as firemen. That individual has done a lot for them, and they are, through their gratitude, I believe they came to discuss and want the individual to stay. But of course, as government, you cannot force anyone to stay and stay on, and that's a personal decision that has to be made. But nevertheless, I'm more focused on what needs to get done for the fire department, as I told them that I was going to take their function book and give it to a company that is assisting another ministry with their function book, and I have done such. I am waiting for the quotation. I did that yesterday morning at 7 o'clock, as promised. And I'm also in contact with the Prime Minister of, both Prime Ministers of Aruba and Curacao, as it relates to joint agreements that we're, I believe that they're already in the talks. Minister of Justice will be addressing such in the next YVO meeting as it relates to, well, amongst other things, courses, certified courses for the fire department. So I gave them my word that I would look into those matters, and they feel neglected. And I told them that I gave them my word that I would look into that. So as soon as I get the information and I collect the rest of the information that was done perhaps even before, I will come with a plan for the fire department, because they are the ones that are out there saving lives and saving buildings, outing fires. And they've had a really rough year this year, and they have my full attention.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Honorable Ministers of the Council, members of the media, radio listeners, and online viewers, this brings us to the end of the Live Council of Ministers press briefing for today, Wednesday, July 11th, 2018. For rebroadcast, tune in every evening at 7 p.m. on St. Martin Cable TV. For video on demand, log on to the official government's website at www.stmartingov.org. On behalf of the Department of Communication, I'm Rolika Roach, and do have a pleasant day further.